There's no need to wait until senior manager grade to actually leave the Big Four. It might actually just get harder to leave, and you might even just price yourself out of the market. However, ultimately, the decision to move on from the Big Four, move on from consulting, is a very personal choice. Some people want to stay in consulting longer, that breadth of experience, and they enjoy the consulting environment, whereas others want to move into industry sooner. However, if you do want to specialize in your career, niche down in this particular area, you want more ownership of outcomes, and you want to actually see the end-to-end transformation of your work, then industry is a no-brainer and it's probably the right next step for you in terms of your career. And in my personal opinion, the right level at which to leave the Big Four, move into industry, is probably around the senior consultant or manager grade. I personally left at the manager grade myself. Now, for anyone new here, my name's George. I spent 8 years at the Big Four in both London and Sydney before landing a senior industry role in just 5 weeks. In this video, I want to talk just a little bit more about why I think the senior consultant manager grade is a sweet spot for those of you that do want to move into industry. So there are a lot of consultants that do want to stay until the senior manager or even director level and then target an industry exit at that point. And it can absolutely work, although it can actually be trickier as well, because ultimately, especially at the senior manager and director level of the Big Four, you're more responsible for sales and relationship management. So the skill set required is different. Whereas obviously in industry, you're responsible for owning the operational outcomes and the commercial ROI of actually doing the work. So in terms of the sales skills and the relationship management skills, it's just different to, I guess, the expectation that would be required in the majority of industry roles. So it can be trickier to leave from that perspective. The other thing worth mentioning at that level, I guess from a pay perspective, it could be a little bit trickier. Again, depending on the geography that you're currently residing in, where the pay scales are slightly different, you're often seen as slightly too expensive to just be a doer, or kind of an industry operator, or just a standard doer, but you might not necessarily have had experience owning the operational outcomes to, I guess, qualify for industry exec roles as well, unless you've got some prior industry experience. So it's a bit of a tricky area and like a gray area from a pay perspective sometimes as well. So that can also make the transition to industry at that senior manager and director level a little bit more tricky, where as opposed to exiting before. Not saying it's impossible at all, it's absolutely doable, but just different skill set and a different set of circumstances required. So I just want to touch on why I think the senior consultant and manager levels are the sweet spot for transitioning into industry. And as I said before, I left at a manager grade, so I got made redundant. Then at that manager grade, I was more of an experienced manager, got made redundant, and then moved to industry after that. So I guess from a hard skill perspective, you've accumulated quite a few hard skills over the years. You've obviously worked on projects across geographies, across industries, across capabilities as well, right? So you would have accumulated a good number of hard skills over the years. And also at that senior con and manager level is where you would have accumulated the excellent soft skills or the consulting toolkit as well. So at that senior consultant level, you would have had to take ownership for particular tasks or deliverables. And at the manager level, you would have likely led teams as well. So these soft skills or consulting skills, when packaged up correctly, and only when packaged up correctly, can command a premium in industry, and you'll have more of an advantage compared to some of your peers that just been in industry. That will come across, again, in more of the soft skills and in some of those titles that you're applying for when packaged up in the right manner. Now, also from a growth perspective, kind of at that senior con and manager level, industry is often a next excellent move because you're going to get more depth in terms of that specialized knowledge, depending on the niche that you're actually in and the domain experience. And also you'll have more ownership for your tasks. You'll see projects through from inception all the way to finalization as well, which could be many months or even years in some cases. But in consulting, you would have likely been on shorter projects, sometimes even 4, 6, 8, 12 weeks, even depending on the engagement. And then you kind of hand over to the client, and then it's up to them to sustainably own that outcome over the long term. Whereas in industry, you will see it, you'll be there at the start and you'll be there at the end as well. And it's quite satisfying to see that work in terms of the work that you're actually doing and sustaining. So yeah, for a lot of people, it does make sense as a next logical step in their career. Now, whatever level you are at the Big Four, whether that's senior consultant or manager level, or even the senior manager or director level as an example, when applying for industry roles, it's important that you do bear in mind that mindset shift that is required that's going to give you the ultimate amount of success when applying for roles. And that's not just spraying and praying, applying to 50 roles, using LinkedIn Easy Apply and hoping that someone's going to pick up your application and hire you. You've got to be a lot more targeted with the roles you're applying for. understand, start from the outcomes that you enjoy, that you've enjoyed delivering over the years, and find a couple of role titles that naturally lead on from the outcomes that you've delivered, and then narrow down your search as much as possible to make your search for industry roles as easy as possible. Your industry hiring managers are much likely to resonate with your profile if you do narrow down your approach and really tailor your application to the roles you're actually applying for. Now, the other thing to bear in mind, and this is quite common with consultants sometimes as well, is you've spent a long time at the Big Four and you do think that sometimes maybe moving to industry is a bit of a downgrade in terms of your career, or you see it as taking a step down or as failing, which is, I think, more a result of conditioning over the years, and that's absolutely not the case, and I can confirm that as well. Again, it's just a very different experience. You've seen things from quite a strategic lens in consulting at the Big Four, and you're going to be moving into more of an operational environment. A lot of cases where you're actually responsible for owning outcomes over the long term, and it's just a mindset shift that's required. So the sooner you make that shift, the sooner that you'll see roles that, I guess, align with your profile and maybe seem like the next logical step in your career that you were maybe putting off before because you did see them as a downgrade. So don't necessarily rule anything out. It's just a mindset shift. The pace is going to be different, and the actual environment is going to be different as well. So the sooner you see that, the sooner you can find the role you want and succeed in that environment. So if you are at that senior consultant and manager level and you are thinking about moving over to industry, your next move, it does need to be strategic and not just desperate, so that you get the most out of your next career move and see it as the logical next step. So you need to stop scrolling job boards at 8 p.m. when you're tired after a long day at work and you're busy on an engagement, and you need a much more targeted strategy to actually apply for industry roles, okay? Now, you can head to my YouTube bio and head over to my website, georgeoptimize.com. You can download a free roadmap there which will explain how I personally navigated the transition from being made redundant and working in consulting to landing a senior industry role in 5 weeks. It explains the methodology I use that you can apply to your personal situation. And if you do want an exact blueprint of how to leave your Big Four consulting role and naturally transition to a senior industry role in the next 90 days, then you can book a free strategy call. The link's in my YouTube bio, and we'll assess your personal situation and create a personalized roadmap that will help you transition for more ownership in your career, for more growth. I hope you guys found this video useful. Don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you guys in the next video.